Really nice to be with you tonight. Uh, we should note this also is being recorded so that into the future somebody else or any other patrons can watch this video and learn from it. So glad to be here tonight. We have an hour and we want to talk about social media and small business. And really, for your first stop when you're thinking about marketing and doing social media for your small business is your library. And so thank you to Addison Public Library for having me. But Matt Williams is really your first stop because Matt Williams has everything you need to really get started. And before we started the session, we just kind of refreshed on some of the really nice resources the library has. They have access to equipment that's for making video or photography. And when the construction at the library is done, there'll be a really nice space where you can make videos or do recordings. But right now you can borrow those elements and take them elsewhere and use that at no charge to support your business. And the library also has a lot of great resources. Like Matt talked about the databases, but you can make mailing lists, which would also support your social media because I do believe that like the digital voice of a company is very nicely supported by what I would call the analog voice of the company, which could be a mailing or it could be some kind of communications to subsets of groups of people that you're looking to reach. So I definitely encourage anyone who sees this video now or into the future to reach back to the library as a cornerstone for your marketing efforts and then build from there. I am a strategic communications and marketing and brand building consultant in my 16th year in private practice. My background was doing marketing and audience development type work for universities and art museums. And then at some point, it just made sense to become a consultant. So I work with a wide variety of clients. They tend to be smaller businesses, professional services clients, houses of worship. I'm trying to think, school districts, all kinds of organizations that I would describe as being businesses that look like they don't need a lot of marketing. And yet they do. And social media is kind of a wonderful thing and a terrible thing at the same time. So tonight we'll talk a bit about this. And I'd love to be interrupted. So if there is a question, you can type it in the chat and Matt will help us hear it and then talk together about how we might address a good answer for whatever question you have. But I'm curious if now and going on, if you want to describe what kind of work you're in or what kind of service profession you're in or what kind of business you're looking to promote on social, let us know and we can kind of address that as part of our work tonight. But what I'll do is just begin with the worksheet that I've created for this to really help everyone who sees this kind of think about what they need to do. So we're trying to unlock social media for small business. And there's a few things you must do to get started. I call it the baseline needs. And I'll expand on all these points so they'll be a little more meaningful for you. But you need a company or an organizational page on every desired platform. And by that, I mean you don't have to be on all the platforms. That's for like Kraft Foods and Nike and Comcast. They can be on every channel. They'll have 50 people, 100 people, 200 people running their social media. Obviously, as small business owners, we can't do that. So what we have to do is identify maybe our top platform and get good at that one. And then if we can get good at that one, then we go to the next one and the next one. It's sort of like if you wanted to learn Spanish, you probably wouldn't also start to learn Italian and French at the same time as a small business owner. You'd probably pick one language, work on that till you get good enough at it so that you could tree off that and then learn the next one. And so I would encourage any small business owner to begin with one, get one really well done, and then move on to the next and so on. And every profile should include a few things at minimum, which would be a profile image, a cover image, that's the long rectangular image that goes next to the profile image, clear contact information, which is your telephone number, your business address, if that's appropriate, an email address, a URL, an about statement. So about statements should have keywords. So if you are a lawyer, you're not just a lawyer. What kind of law do you practice? Do you practice real estate appeal law? Do you practice family law? Do you practice business litigation? We need to know that because the person on the street doesn't know. And when they go searching on Google, which most people do, they can't find you if Google doesn't know what you do. So that's really important. The keywords are really important. And mission focused content. So every business has sort of a mission and it has a personality. And the cornerstone of that is what do you stand for? How do you do it? Why do you do it? These are like basic questions about a business that we would love to tell people out into the public, because then the person on the street looking says, "Ooh, that's the organization for me." Third, employees and volunteers should be linked to the company and organizational page on any platform that you're on. So let's use LinkedIn as an example. You may make a company page on LinkedIn and you may have 20 employees. You could invite them or encourage them, or maybe run a little contest if they're a little reticent, to make pages on LinkedIn for themselves and then link to the business page so that when you publish content, they can share it out to their networks. And even if they only have 50 or 100 people that they're connected to, or 500 or 1,000 or 10,000, every time they share, it's like a snowplow effect. So your piece of content, suddenly, if it gets shared by 5 people, might be seen by 5,000 people. And that's sort of the network effect that we're going for here. The next thing is organizational commitment or resource allocation, to have a trained manager for all social platforms with additional team members as admins, so there's no lockout. And what I mean by this is, if I have a company page on Facebook, it should not just be my company page. And if Matt and I work together, Matt should have an admin assignment from that Facebook page. Why? If I, for some reason, and this happens all the time, you get locked out of your Facebook page or somebody hacks into it and for a while you can't quite navigate, Matt can get in there and he can fix things and he can assign other people admin rights. It's sort of like offering a very trusted employee or partner the keys to your store. And you would never just have one set of keys to your store. You might have 3 or 4 sets of keys, and you might leave one at the police station. You might leave one with your next door neighbor who you've known for 50 years, and maybe one to your brother or your sister or trusted employee, so that in case your keys fall down a storm drain, someone else can get in and then you can make new keys. So you have to think about it that way. These are storefronts, each one of these channels. And you also need an organizational commitment to publish high quality, actionable content. And what that means is you want to think about, how does my business sound when it publishes things on social media? And what I mean by that is, if you go look at some of the grandmasters, like go to Nike on any of these channels and see what they're publishing. Go to McDonald's, go to Home Depot, and see how they're publishing and investigate for yourself. What do they sound like? What do they look like? What's the tone they strike? There's a definite personality that every business that uses these channels presents. And even if you have a small business, you want to present the personality of your business to your audience. And so when you commit to high quality content, you're committing to good photography, which means if you take a photograph of apples because it's fall and you sell them, you want a great photo of apples. You can take it with your iPhone or your Pixel, but make sure it's a good photo, that it's not blurry. And then describe them. These are Honeycrisp apples. We picked them today. We have thousands coming off the trees. Please stop by our store and buy some. They're delicious. And pick up a pound of cheddar cheese to eat with them. And suddenly you have something that somebody wants to receive in their social stream. So I recommend you think about this commitment to high quality, and you will see, if you go investigating, which after this session I hope you do, that there's good and bad. And you'll judge for yourself what you think is right for your business, but your goal is to strive to be the best you can on social. And if you have these baseline needs covered, we can talk about tactics. Tactics are fun. This is how you attract and retain an audience. And by audience, I mean anyone who would care about what you're doing. And you have to kind of think about, who would care about what I'm doing? Well, my current customers, my former customers, my prospective customers. How about local business leaders who care about our local thriving business community? Before we started, Matt was telling me a little bit about how big and important the Addison business community is. And so the Addison business community would care a lot about any small business that's there, that's promoting itself. In fact, they might even help you promote your business because it's just good for everybody. So start to think about who your audience is. You're going to have many more types of audience members than you realize. Elected politicians, the Chamber of Commerce, your friends and neighbors. I've just named probably 8 different kinds of people that would care about a business, and I haven't even dug into like the kinds of people that might shop or use your services. So When you think about that, then you want to match your content to those kinds of people for different purposes. So first of all, publish content consistently and commit to a cadence. And what I mean by that is what we don't want to see when we come to someone's company page is the last time they published was in 2014, because that looks kind of dead. And it looks like nobody unlocked the door, nobody picked up the dust and the paper from the front door, and it just looks like, are they in business? We don't know. So even if you just do one piece of content a week or one piece of content a month, I would rather it be once a week, but to start, get a steady cadence and get used to that, and then add in more as you go because it does get easier as you go. Inspire your style from successful business pages. Search for and learn from successful pages to improve your style. Start with the big ones because they've spent millions and millions of dollars to figure out how to do this. Pick any brand that you like, any aspirational brand, whether it's Nike or Home Depot or McDonald's or Dairy Queen or Hertz rental car. It does not matter. If you like what you see, take a look at what they're doing. And then you can emulate that for your business. And you immediately are borrowing from their millions and millions of dollars of research to figure out what to do for your small business, and you win. You don't have to do what they're doing, but the approach, the energy that's behind it, the quality is evident, and then you figure out how to do that for your business. Speak with a strong brand voice and develop a tone that reflects your business. So your business sounds like something. It may be authoritative, it may be professorial, it may be playful, it may be sporty, it may be casual, it might be formal, it might be educational. We don't know. You will decide that. But your brand voice should kind of sound like the tone you want to strike. And when you do that, your audience will receive it very well. And you can also have more than one voice. You could have a playful voice that you use on Fridays and Saturdays, and the rest of the week sounds like business. I mean, people do that. They create kind of moods like evening, daytime, weekend, vacation. All of that is fair. Um, Pre-schedule your content. So one of the things I work with my clients on is I really don't want anyone waking up in the morning and going, oh no, what am I going to say on LinkedIn today? Like that could happen, but in a better approach would be looking at each month and saying, gosh, we have Memorial Day coming up. Do we have a very attractive greeting to our customers acknowledging Memorial Day that also is branded? And if we don't, we better make it. And then you can pre-schedule it. So it'll just launch on the day and the time that you would like it to launch. And you can do that for other pieces of content. If you are a cookie baker and you every Friday you make a certain kind of cookie, plan on Friday or maybe Thursday night to say they're going into the oven, show us a picture before they're baked and show us a picture of them coming out when they're baked and how many you made and when do I have to come in to get them before they're sold out. And pre-schedule that, which then gives you room and space in your mind when something very interesting happens, like a famous person walks into your showroom and you take a picture with them, kind of the way restaurants will have like a picture of like Sylvester Stallone at a restaurant and it's signed. Well, you could have that, and that's ad hoc. You didn't expect it. Here they are. They're coming to buy the cookies. And how nice is that? We're going to take a picture and show that. Now you can publish that in between all the pre-scheduled content. And suddenly you're starting to have a really nice selection of kinds of content that you're publishing because you're pre-scheduling what you already know. Like you already know Thanksgiving is coming. So what's the greeting going to be? You can put that together now, and I recommend it. Valentine's Day is a great time to say how much you love your customers. 4th of July, it's important to acknowledge. And you can plug all of that in advance. So that's something I really recommend that you do. Comment back. If people comment back to them. The good and the bad. So people may say, we love what you're doing. Your Friday cookies are the best we've ever had. And you can write back as the brand, thank you so much. Stop in and we'll give you a free one when you tell us that you wrote this, or just mention that you saw this and we'll give you a free cookie. Someone might say, I stopped in and there were no cookies left and I was so disappointed and that's not fair. You know, you often get a crabby comment too. And you write back, please call us and we'll make sure there's a dozen waiting for you the next time you come by the neighborhood. We'd like to make sure you get some too. We do sell out and we're trying to scale up. And that shows there's humans behind the social. And when the humans are responding to both the easy stuff, which is a compliment, and the harder stuff, which could be complaint, anyone watching this judges it fairly and says, this is really nice. Look how they're looking after people. Um, Promote your social media accounts. So let's say you have a Facebook page and you have an Instagram page and you have a TikTok page. You'll want to make sure those chiclets, those are the little logos that you see on the top and the bottom of websites, that you talk about them in your e-newsletter, that you talk about them in any other outward marketing that you have, advertising, radio spots. You can mention it anywhere that you do other kinds of promotions, and that helps you build your audience. Engage with the audience and develop a sense of community. You know, if I am a cookie baker in Addison on the main street, I may want to invite people to come. The smells are free and a free cookie on Friday. Or here's, if you mention this post, you get, 50% off your first dozen or your second dozen. Or do you know of a charity that wants to raise money? We'll give 20% back if you shop with us. There's all kinds of stuff you can do to engage with your community. Doesn't matter the business. You can be a roofer, you can be a house painter, you can be a cookie baker, a shoe seller. It does not matter. There's always a way. Um, Privately, it makes sense to create a short list of competitors and collaborators. So those are folks that you may be feeling like you lose business to, or people with whom you partner and it's even better. If you know kind of a short list, let's say less than 10, local businesses where you feel like I might be losing business to that organization, it's important to kind of look at their online social profile and see what exactly am I not doing that they're doing? Or are they doing something that's making it easier for people to connect with them? And that's a little bit of the competitive intelligence gathering you do for yourself that you can then use for your social media efforts. It's really important. One of the things you can also do is tag your collaborators. So what that means is if I'm the cookie baker and I buy all my butter from the Addison Dairy, I may want to tag the Addison Dairy on my content so they see it. And if their social media manager is watching, and they probably are, they'll see that I promote something on Wednesdays and I tag the dairy, maybe with a nice picture of the dairy cows looking very happy on the beautiful green pasture that they have, or whatever it is. We'll collaborate, we'll share out the same piece of information, and suddenly, instead of 100 people seeing it, 5,000 people see it. So that's a way to collaborate on social. Share content from collaborator pages. So if the Addison Dairy is publishing their steady stream of like the milk that they sell and the butter that they make and other things they do in the community, every so often the cookie baker should take one of their posts and share it into their stream to say, we love the Addison Dairy as the Addison cookie bakers. And not only do they make great butter, but they also have like beautiful pastures or an opportunity for children to come and learn how a farm works or whatever it is. Share each other's content. It's a really great way to build audience. Follow relevant content. So if you work in an industry where there's a lot to know, whether it's solar panels for houses or house painting or furniture refinishing, it doesn't matter what it is. Learn about your industry beyond just what you're doing. Maybe look nationally. There's always interesting things being written, both in trade publications and consumer-facing publications, and you can take some of that good information as part of your social content and share it to your audience with a comment. So if there's an interesting article written about electric cars and you sell electric cars, share that really interesting article and talk about why it matters or why people may want to come to you to talk about the electric cars that you're selling or the toasters that you have or whatever it is. People who are looking for something value the information that gets shared by trusted sources, which you are. So following content and staying current really matters a lot. The next thing to consider is, what are the best channels for your business? You should be in the right places. I would not say you should be in all the places, because that's for the really large companies and it's not realistic for small businesses. But a Google business profile is your cornerstone. The Google business profile is not exactly social media, but it kind of is. It is the listing you find when you go on Google and search for pizzeria near me. and you find the closest one, their little Google business profile shows up. And if they have no reviews and an incorrect telephone number and I dial it, I'm not going to be able to order pizza from you. So the Google business profile needs to be correct, and it needs to have your contact information, your opening hours, if that's appropriate, and a 750 character statement. This is we could do, Matt, we could do a whole workshop on this sometime, which is just specifically what do you have to have in your Google business profile. This is free and the most important piece of digital real estate for your business. And it drives everything in search. So if it's not populated correctly, you're going to lose an unknown X of possible customers, and that unknown X is vast. There's something like 20 some thousand Google profiles generated every day, new profiles, and there's millions and millions of them worldwide. So consider that.
Now, if you don't mind if I interrupt, because I get a question
Uh-huh.
very frequently on Google business profiles, so I would love to get
Yep.
your take on it as well. What if they don't have a brick and mortar business? What if your business is an at home
Yep.
and that kind of stuff? What can you still have?
Yeah.
One,
Well,
what
just
information should you put on there? All that good stuff.
right. That's a great question. Only populate the pieces of information that you want to share out to the world. So if you work virtually and there's no need for anyone to know what address you use, then don't include it. But if you are the cookie bakery of Addison, you better make sure if you moved 6 months ago that it's updated. I can't tell you how many times I've used a Google profile and the phone number was dead, the opening hours were incorrect. I've stood in freezing cold parking lots around here looking for an office because they moved and it wasn't clear and I'm searching. So I would say only populate the pieces of information that matter for your business, and it's different for everybody. But you do want to include products and services because even like I work with a lot of lawyers. Even my divorce lawyers include products and services because there are prenuptial agreements, there are post-decree modifications, there's parenting time. These are all different types of family law that they can offer, real estate transactions also. And it helps when you plug in all that information, the Google algorithm is spidering, it's searching, it's trying to figure out this law practice versus this law practice. And the person at home searching for a prenuptial agreement attorney near me. If I don't say that I do it, I'm never going to be found. And so the Google Business Profile, just plug in the information that's appropriate for your business, and that's okay. And if you don't have an address, that's okay. Facebook. Ugh, Facebook. So it used to be awesome, and now it's kind of like a muddy bog, but it is a directory, and it's a high-powered directory. So I would recommend that you at minimum make a company page. I do think and understand why you might not promote your business too much on it because there are other profiles and platforms that will probably perform better dollar for dollar, but not exclusively. But I would recommend that most local businesses have a Facebook page because from a directory standpoint, when people search on Google or Bing or whatever they're using to search, the Facebook pages are optimized. They show up sometimes higher than your own website, which is a whole separate issue that needs to be addressed. That's probably a different session we could do. Instagram, similarly, and make sure you have hashtags. And hashtags should be words or terms that people search for. So, for example, if I am a shoe store in Lincoln Park and I'm promoting snow boots, I don't think that it's helpful to have a hashtag that says, "Isn't it a snowy day in Lincoln Park?" My hashtag will be snow boots or the brand. If it's Bogs, if it's Nike, it'll be hashtag Nike or it'll be hashtag children's snow boots because that's what people are searching for. They're not searching for snowy day in Chicago. I mean, they might be, but that's too far removed from anybody shopping for boots. So you want to make sure that your hashtags, and I think Matt as a librarian will appreciate, like your search terms have to relate to what it is you're actually looking for, not editorializing. So a lot of people are confused about that. X, if you have regional, national, or international focus, definitely build this page. If you are strictly local, I don't recommend this as a priority space for the simple reason that the average person in your neighborhood is not looking at X. They might be, but they're not really spending their time on that. That's more for people who are doing larger searches or following larger news trends or larger moving pieces of information. And it's not to say that you shouldn't be there, but I wouldn't prioritize it first. TikTok, if you're interacting with young people, you definitely want to consider how to incorporate content on TikTok for to reach a younger audience. Again, not exclusively so, but it does skew a lot younger and more on trend. So for some businesses, this is really important. If you have, a great car detailing business and young people love their cars, they have car love, maybe the first car, you may want to promote how you do it or an affordable way to use your car detailing business for young people with cars who are, they live in their cars, they're excited about their cars. It's a first chance at independence, and you can kind of tie in with that and use TikTok. And that I'm just giving that as an example as a for instance. But I think that, not all businesses need to be on all platforms, as I mentioned earlier. And then LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very interesting. LinkedIn is good both for individuals and for companies. So as an individual, if you're a business owner, you want to become what we call a subject matter expert and demonstrate your expertise. And one of the ways you can do that is by being very present on LinkedIn professionally with all of the information that you want people to see about you provided. And then you also want to have a page on LinkedIn for your company. Whether you're a shoe store, a cookie baker, or a roofer, it would be great if you did. And if you use really good photos and descriptions of what you're showing, people will find it very interesting. And on LinkedIn, you have a different sort of audience. It tends to be people who are working hard, who are primed for making decisions, who are also sometimes really busy and just want to get to the right answer. Like, I might come to work and think about I need a new roof, but I don't have time to think about it. But if I've been typing in Google searches for roofers, suddenly LinkedIn is going to maybe serve up a few because of cookies, roofers that are advertising near me or promoting their business on LinkedIn. And suddenly I, as a decision maker, may say, oh gosh, maybe I'll call a couple of these when I have time, or I'll take down their contact information and call them when I have some free minutes. And that's how you can use LinkedIn, is to really advance expertise, decision making. It's very action oriented and very professional. So that really skews toward what I would describe as like a 9 to 5 personality, even though nobody's really working 9 to 5 anymore, but like that kind of feeling. Okay, we talked about hashtags, and hashtags, keywords, you can do some keyword searches. Use Google Trends to figure that out. Use ChatGPT, and you can simply ask, what are keywords associated with, um, boba tea purchasing? Or what are keywords associated with the purchase of hiking boots if I'm a shoe store? Or, I'm a roofer. What are some keywords I might use for my small business marketing in Illinois? And these beautiful engines will give you all kinds of ideas, and you can kind of spar with them and brainstorm with them. And that's really a benefit to help you create hashtags, which is really for indexing. So once you publish content and you put hashtag Addison Public Library and hashtag, business services Addison Public Library, anybody who goes searching for those things on Google, which people do, will find this piece of content, and they'll go, they do have business programs at the library, where they may not see that if they end up on the homepage of the library. They may only see that it's story time, or that we have a really great resource center for people doing research papers. So the hashtags help drive people exactly where you want them. And you can also hashtag your own business name. So if you're Acme Cookies, hashtag Acme Cookies. Or if Matt Williams is a famous chef, it can be, hashtag Matt Williams Chef. That way, anybody searching for a private chef near me finds Matt Williams immediately. Because the algorithm will match by proximity, by our computer addresses. Oh, we're near each other. Maybe you should talk to Matt. And then always maintain a posture of gratitude. And I guess what that means is, in a world that can feel a little rough, and it does sometimes right now feel a little rough and a little difficult, gratitude goes a long way. And that's just kindness, decency, grace, however you define it. And if you can kind of demonstrate that online, it's a gift to the person who's seeing whatever it is you've published. And so be grateful to your audience, but also share things that they may feel gratitude for. And I think like like little ripples in a pond, they kind of work their way outward and soothe weary souls. So any kind of messaging that's got a little bit of gratitude woven through it is going to carry very far and well. Um, because nobody ever said, if you say thank you, nobody ever says, what do you mean by that? Right? So, um, if you get your staff to get onto these platforms and now they're linked to you, ask them please to share it to their networks. Not everybody will, not everybody wants to, and that's okay too. But for the people who would or who will, if they do, that's a gift because every time somebody shares a piece of content, you get an unknown X of people seeing it. And it helps tell the algorithm that this is important to other people. And it starts to create what I would describe as virality, but I also think it's really more just creates a sense of importance. And so I think it's worth asking people to share. And you might even create little contests for who can share the most or who gets the greatest audience reaction, who gets the most comments. You can have some fun with that. And always include great images. And by that, I mean photos that are worth looking at. I sometimes see photos that are very poorly composed, and sometimes that happens. But so often we can control that. If you have a beautiful shoe store, show us the fall lineup. Show us what people are looking at. If you are a cookie baker, show us pictures. If you are a house painter, show us the colors that are on trend. Or show us when there's a problem with paint, what to look for. Like here's water damage and here's a freshly painted wall. Side by side comparisons help people go, ooh, I need to do something about that. And photos are just a great way to teach. So always use great images. And if you don't know what to put something simple and eye-catching or captivating or even a little enigmatic that's just kind of interesting to attract attention. They're like speed bumps on social media because content that's published without imagery tends to perform poorly compared to content that's published with good imagery. Um, think about video. So if you've never done video before, that's okay. What you may want to do is start out with some simple video. Think about 1 minute videos. And if you're not sure how to do this, you can always hire somebody. And if you don't have a lot of money, you could probably find a high school student who'd be willing to do it for a modest sum. And think about what are the things you'd want to say. And then have a setup of like maybe some questions that someone could ask you, and you can answer them and be videoed answering those questions, and then have someone cut them up into small bite-sized pieces. So you do one big take. It might be an hour, might be an hour and a half, and then cut it up into small little pieces that are like outtakes. And you can publish those and put a little chyron or your brand so people know where it came from. So if it gets shared, people know where it lives. And it's also evergreen. It lasts as long as you want it to. So I would recommend if you think you want to do video, think about a little variety of backdrops. Think about a little variety of what you wear so that you're not always in the same outfit unless you're trying to create a sense of consistency. Like if you're in the repair business and you want to demonstrate this is like what we wear when we're doing repair work so people can see that, that's okay too. But I think a little variety, visual variety helps. Even repair people are sometimes outside, sometimes they're inside, sometimes they're in kitchens, sometimes they're in attics. Showing that is helpful, and very short, well edited video is going to be a useful tool for you on social. One of the things you could think about is how people are so different. Some people would like to read information. Some people would like to listen to information. Some people would like to watch information on video. Some people just want to meet in person. And these are like different kind of sensory modes that people go into. And so if you can provide different content that meets those different kinds of needs or dispositions, you'll probably gain some customers because of it. And always assert your authority. You're the expert. If you know things, tell people because people don't necessarily know. And I think increasingly in a world that's just full of information and a lot of it's not even correct, If you can offer good, correct information that teaches people something, you're winning. So definitely, as an expert, assert your authority in a polite way, but in a way that somebody can hear and go, "Ooh, that's a good point. I should do that," whatever that is. And make it aspirational or shareable. So popular content gets shared. If we're doing a Thanksgiving post and you make a beautiful one that says, from our house to yours, we're grateful for your business and it's just beautiful, someone may share that out to their network to say, look how beautiful this is. I can't make a better Thanksgiving greeting. We see it all the time. We see people sharing to their social media streams all kinds of stuff. A lot of it is pretty junky. And so if you create something that feels like a gift and people share it, now suddenly your brand has just gone over here and it's going over here and it's going in a way that you're controlling in terms of how it looks, so it's received well. And we see that a lot. We see that with like the polar bears for Coca-Cola around the holidays. Everybody loves these ads. And so when there's cute little video snippets of them, everybody shares those because they're kind of beautiful. They're little pieces of art and they kind of give everyone a little bit of a thrill and they have a little holiday cheer to them. And just as an example, that's something people would share, or movie clips or little bits with cartoons. So think about that. And then a lot of people will say to me, I don't really have a lot of audience members. I have 100 people on my company LinkedIn page or whatever people say, and that's fine. Every person is a gift, and every person may have 100, 200, or 5,000 connections. So don't assume that just because you have 100, it's small, especially if you're talking to them about something they care about. But you want to grow that audience. And the way you can do it on LinkedIn and others is the people you may know feature. So when you're an admin, there's a people you may know or invite friends, or these are people that may care about your page. Use those functions. So on LinkedIn for free, you can invite, I think, up to 250 people a month. And then if you're on LinkedIn Premium, you can do lots more. But you and your employees can invite people to like a given page. And like a snowplow, it grows pretty quickly if you're publishing things that people want to read and you're also inviting people to join the page. Again, not everybody's going to join, but a lot of people will join. Um, and your employees can invite new followers too, and that's a gift that they can offer as part of their work with you. So you might ask them if they would invite people to like your company page on any platform that you're on or share it. And I think these are 20 ways. If you did all of this, you're going to have a very well-run, highly functioning social media effort for your small business. And I'm going to add one that I did not put on here because it's changing so fast. I'm not even sure what to say anymore. It's the role of AI in social content. And it's moving so fast. I would say yes, AI, and then you have to also figure out in what way. There are so many AI tools, it's dazzling. And what I would say is start with one AI platform, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you choose, whether it's the integrated AI on Google or on Facebook, play with it a little bit. Use it to brainstorm. Think of it like a half employee that you didn't expect to have. I don't recommend just publishing straight off the AI. Like you might type into ChatGPT, can you give me 5 social media headlines I could publish this week about my roofing company? Well, it will. And they'll be okay, good enough. Or you may go, gee, I never thought about that. But now take those and give it some personality, kind of feather into it what you want it to do. You can pivot off that and take those 5 headlines and adjust them and maybe spread them over 5 weeks. Maybe you don't need all 5 this week. Or maybe you need help. Like maybe you struggle with 4 different ways to describe what we do. And you might even just talk to one of these AI assistants and say, we do the following 4 services. We bake cookies, we offer prenuptial agreements, and we sell shoes. How do we describe this? And let it help you think about how to say it in a way that's cheeky, professorial, educational, spiritual, whatever it is. But don't just take that raw output and publish it, because that's really not great. Use it as a pivot point to go, okay, these are 5 interesting things. How might I adjust these? Or now, what graphic could I use to show these 10 data points? What would be a nice way to show this? And use these tools this way, but I think it's going to keep changing. So even as we sit here tonight, nothing is certain with respect to AI, but one thing is certain, and that is that it's a helpful tool in many contexts and has to be used as such. And so I would recommend, for social media marketing and sort of communicating, to consider it like your brainstorming partner and possibly your creative partner to help you think about how to position your logo or your colors or your typefaces. But don't just take the output and go done. A lot of people are doing that, and you can smell it a mile away, and you go, it's not that good. Or it'll have what they call a hallucination. You'll go, gee, it's so funny. That graphic is of a person who has 7 fingers. That's just so awful. And you see it all the time, and people don't even realize it because they're moving quickly. But I do think that my 21st point would be consider the role of AI in your social media marketing for your business, and there is a role for it. So I would say that's a lot of information. We do have a few more minutes if there's a question or any comment or anything that we should talk about more.
Yes, we do have a little bit of time, so please, those in attendance, please feel free to answer or ask any questions in the chat that you have about social media marketing. But in the meantime, while you were presenting, Rebecca, I was thinking about all the questions that I normally get about social media marketing. So I would love,
Oh,
so you
sure.
mentioned some of them, like pre-scheduling posts. So there are softwares out there. There are
Mhm.
companies out there
Sure.
that handle that. Like Hootsuite is one of them, and I
Right.
know like
Mhm.
there's some others out there too. But again, those are all paid services. Do
Right.
do the platforms offer like a free scheduler in there?
Yeah.
Like does Meta do that for
Yep.
Facebook and Instagram and things like
Yeah.
that?
There
Hmm.
is. Yeah, in the Meta Business Suite, you can pre-schedule. You can pre-schedule right on LinkedIn. There's a little clock icon when you're doing, kind of what's up, and you're putting in your information and a photo or a link to a video or whatever you're doing. You can touch on that little clock icon and pick a date in the future and time when you'd like something to launch or publish. And you can do that with the Meta Business Suite, and I think you can do it with most of the large social platforms. And those are free. So I recommend that. And I mean, I guess, as a layer, you can pay to advertise on Instagram, of course, and Facebook and LinkedIn. And there are reasons why you may want to do that. But I would recommend that before you pay or spend money, do what you can do first organically and with your own, sort of like with your own hands, what you can do yourself and with your own kind of evangelists who are close to you. Like, people love your business, people are fans of the work you do. Start there before you spend money, because as small business owners, we don't have big budgets typically. And I'm not an advocate for spending money before we really know what's working.
Hmm.
Especially like with publishing. I mean, because it could get really expensive fast.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. And another question I always get, because we talked about all of the different platforms, and
Hmm.
we know to start small and then expand to the different platforms. But once you get to that point, do you have to think of a new thing to post on each one, or how about cross-posting, even though like
Yeah.
it may not be
Yeah.
a perfect fit for one of the platforms, but it's still decent content. What
Yeah.
thoughts on
Well, everything doesn't
cross-posting?
have to go everywhere.
Hmm.
So, what makes sense for Instagram may not make sense for LinkedIn, but maybe variations would be very good. The other thing to think about is some pieces of content may be very popular, and I'm not even sure what that would be. Maybe five ways to determine if my sink is leaking or why my sink is leaking. And maybe there's commonly asked questions or concerns that your customer brings to you, or what are how should like what are five things I should look for when I'm buying snow boots. And you may want to create like evergreen content that you then publish at different times of the year that explain this to people when they would logically be asking that question. And so I would say you don't want to publish the same thing everywhere because the algorithms sniff that out. You want to vary it, but you also don't have to publish on every platform equivalently either. You may have different cadences or even different types of information that you present.
Hmm. Awesome. That's great advice. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
sure.
Yes, and if there are any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I just have a comment to mention. I love your last 2 points too about inviting others and getting employees involved and that kind of
Mm.
philosophy. Like we have that here at the library where it's like we do have a marketing staff member. They cannot manage our social media every day along with all of our print media. So they're like, I everyone can take pictures, just send them to me and we'll figure it out. So all staff are marketers here a little bit in the form of content generation. Our
Well, it's
marketing
true.
person is the one who kind of manages the schedule and we can send it her way, but all staff are involved and many hands make light work, and social media is one of those environments there. It can be very time consuming. So,
Well, you're absolutely
yeah.
right. And I think that sort of enthusiasm for or evangelism for any
Hmm.
given service or product or company or business, we see it all the time online, is so valuable. And it's really powerful because the psychological idea of social proof is something that drives all of this, which is that if a few people are standing and looking at something, people passing by will stop and look, what are you looking at? And everyone could be staring at paint drying on the wall. But if everybody's looking at it, now suddenly becomes a thing. Now everybody's going to come and look, and then more people are going to come and look. And so our goal is to authentically invite people to look with us, so to speak. Um,
Hmm.
and that is, I think, really kind of the essence of what we're trying to accomplish when we publish on social media.
Yeah.
Um,
Awesome. And we did have a question come through in the chat.
yeah,
And it says, Rebecca, do you do any web development? And then another part, this is with AI, is how is Claude used
mhm.
and like who uses it and what's the benefits of it compared to the other various
Yeah.
platforms?
Okay, so first, yes, I work on websites and I work on them in two ways. I don't actually build them, but I stand in as a project manager or an art director, depending on what's needed. And I have some trusted partners that I do work with when clients need it. And because there's different types of websites, brochure and what I would call more like transactional websites. So brochure websites are ones that just provide information. And the more transactional ones have possibly a shopping cart functionality or inventory management or other kinds of portals through which people will work in a website. And so they get built a little differently or thought of a little differently from a marketing standpoint. So I definitely work in that space with my clients and I try to find for them the right provider, either from among my network, and I have a very good network, or if they have a preferred provider that they want to use, I will partner with them to do the website. So that's definitely something I can help with. And feel free to reach out to me after this session. Be happy to chat separately about that. And then with respect to like Claude, ChatGPT, and all these other kind of large language model platforms, my recommendation is try them. Take 15 minutes and play with one and just see, does it even feel like something you want to deal with? Like I find ChatGPT to be very helpful for what it is in the funniest ways. And I would recommend if you want to kind of train yourself, it's not hard to do, is pick something ridiculous. And I'll tell you where I began with ChatGPT probably more than a year ago. I asked it, can you give me the best, tastiest ranch dressing recipe? Just to see what it would do. And it gave me one. And I knew I was having people over for like a summer barbecue. So I made it. And then I served it with something. And I asked people, what do you think of it? And everyone said to a fault, this is the best ranch dressing I've ever had. And I thought, aha, we're on to something. And then you fast forward to this year, and I'm using chat for all kinds of things. Like I was in Italy this summer, and the washing machine in an apartment we rented on Lake Como was so complex. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. And so I took a picture of its button panel and I uploaded it to chat and I said, how do I do a load of laundry? And it goes, sure. And it has this like funny little like narrative voice. It goes, sure, it looks like you're trying to do laundry in the north of Italy. I can help with that. This looks like a blah, blah, blah kind of machine. It got it right. And then it said, these are the steps to do a normal load. Do you need any other help or photos to show it how, like, oh my God, that's way more than I need. So like I recommend before you dive into like asking these platforms to market your business, do something ridiculous. Like I had it make a two stanza classic soccer chant for my son's competitive soccer team just to see what it would do. And I said, these are the colors, this is the team name, these are a couple of the names of the star players, and it did. And so, like, ask these models to do something out of the ordinary for you. Maybe ask it to give you a perfect day in Chicago if you've got free time and it's 70 degrees outside. Where should I go? What should I do? And it'll give you links to where you should eat. Would you like me to make a reservation there for you? And play with it. And then that's how you can learn these platforms a little better and in a more relaxed way. And then say, so I've got a business. What would you do to help me market my roofing business in Addison, Illinois? And so it begins.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was great. We do have a couple more minutes left. If there are any other
Other
questions, we're
questions?
happy to answer. We can stay on for a
I
couple more
see in the
minutes.
chat is, let's see, I'm looking. Let's
Oh,
see.
yes. There's a comment
Um,
about Copilot as well.
okay, great.
Mhm.
Got it. Yeah. So I really think, all of these tools are probably going to converge. It's probably like the dawn of the microwave oven. I am certain when the microwave oven was developed, everybody thought, oh my gosh, we're going to make feasts. And then everyone tried to make amazing dinners. And then everyone realized it's really more for like boiling water and making popcorn and reheating leftovers from a really good dinner you had 2 nights ago when you don't feel like cooking, and maybe some other stuff. But I think things will cool off once all of these different tools sort of get sorted out. Some will win, some will lose. I recommend a little testing. Yeah, let yourself get a little swept up into it. Ask it for the best recipe for whatever it is you think you want to make and see what it churns out. And then you can decide, did it know or not know? And you can kind of measure it by some funny measures. So Copilot, sure, I have that one too. It's almost too much because it's absolutely everywhere right now because it's a shiny new thing. It's very exciting. It will change the way we work. There's no question. The question is really, where is the place for humans? And in what way is human judgment going to play a role in how we go forward, which human judgment still will play a role. But we can't just assign it all to the machines. I mean, that's not going to be the goal here. But there is a place for it to support what we're doing as humans. Like we're still going to the store and buying fresh fruit. So that's not AI.
Great. Thank you so much. I think we got it all covered.
I think we did.
Yes.
Action-packed hour. Thank you.
So
Oh, that's great. And
yeah.
my contact information is on the sheet if anybody needs to reach back to me. Always happy to chat, and whatever I can do to help, I'd be glad to.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much again,
Thank
Rebecca.
you.
And I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and we will see you at our next workshop.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Bye bye, y'all.